Everything's working in here?
All right, everybody. So I'm a disembodied voice that is sitting behind the camera, and I'm here to ask Shannon some questions. Can you run by me as a business owner what introduces doubt into the equation when you're conducting business with a group of people, even if you're contracting?
Well, it's a subcontractor, and they posed as an electrician, and they were even vetted to an extent because their information was on a website that provides subcontractors. In other words, they go to a website, they put in their information, they pay this company to get visibility. So we give these guys an opportunity, and it turns out they were not electricians at all. They were actually jokers. And you don't always know until you try. Anyways, they did a simple job for us that should have taken 2 hours. It took them all day. They didn't finish. And they said, oh, we'll come back and finish next week. And my superintendent says, actually, don't bother. We'll take it from here and fix the problem. And it's just a little disturbing that there's guys out there that just get a license, however they do, and open a business, and they think that's all of it. They think that's all it takes. And it's like, man, you're an electrician, and you can't do a simple switch leg. There is something very wrong, very wrong. But, again, you go through 15 companies, 15 employees before you find one that suits you, fits with you, and, actually gives a fuck.
Do you think that plays into that problematic mindset you were communicating to me yesterday at the restaurant?
Mindset is very important, but some people have more mindset than anything, so they don't have the action, they don't follow up, they don't have the execution. You got to have a mindset. So maybe they have the mindset, oh, I'm going to be an electrician, I'm going to open my own business. They do that part, they don't do the other part that's required, the execution. In the construction industry, it's hard because guys are pretty rough, they're pretty gruff, they're not guys that go to a 4-year university and study sales or, anything like that. Like they get out of high school, if they even finish high school, and they go grab some tools and they get to work, they start learning.
So I actually overheard you on Andy Elliott's podcast. You mentioned the bare minimum. Can you explain what the bare minimum is to me? I'm a detail-oriented guy. Like if you say the bare minimum, that can mean plenty of things to plenty of different people. But I personally want to know what you're talking about.
It's subjective. So bare minimum in the construction industry, residential remodeling, you have to have quality. You have to have professionalism, right? Communication. I settle for nothing less than excellence in my company. There's a fine line. I mean, I won't say fine line. There's a difference between acceptable and perfect. You're not going to be perfect. For instance, even paint, you're going to have a little imperfections here and there. So we aim for excellence, and we don't do it in a way that takes too much time. We do it in a way that it's more preparation and just care. It takes a little bit more time. We have tricks and things that take a little extra time to do, but it's that extra care, the out-caring of the competition that makes us more reputable. If you don't have a certain standard of quality that's minimum, then your quality is going to suffer. It's going to slack off. You know what I mean? So you have to have a minimum, a bare minimum. And the maximum is perfection. However, when you can decide where that line is, okay, this is exceptional quality. It may not be perfection, but it doesn't need to be, because the homeowner is satisfied. It's structurally sound. It looks good aesthetically. So it's excellence.
You just mentioned out-carrying your competition again.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's our minimum.
In your field of work, how do you out-carry the competition? You said you're into remodeling, right?
Where's the competition? Where are they at with their care? Okay? If everyone sucks, then all you have to be is slightly better. If it's still not good enough, out-carrying your competition is just imagining what your competition is doing to win a job, to do a job, finish a job. Pretend like they're doing the same thing you are to make yourself better. And that means getting better every day. That means not settling. That means every little detail in my construction business that I can see room for improvement, I'll address it. That's out-carrying your competition. And who knows, maybe your competition is out-carrying you. But isn't that the way it should be? Shouldn't you guys be altruistic in your services? Why would I just go sell somebody something and provide them with a product, a service, or an experience that's worthless? I'm going to have a bad name. I'm not going to feel good about it. No one else is going to want to hire me. Also, people are smart. Customers are smart. My customers, they hire me to do $750,000 jobs. They're not stupid. And I would never play on their ignorance. I would never play on their differences. However, I treat them as I would my own mom, my own dad. I treat them as an equal. I talk to them as if we're on a team, right? You make them feel involved. You help them understand that you have everything under control. However, you make them feel involved, and they like knowing that they're not relinquishing control. They can still be immersed in it enough to go, okay, cool. It feels good to know what's going on. The communication line is there.
So would you say when you get to the big leagues, right? Because you could compete up until a certain point with your service that you actually provide or your profession.
Yes.
By the time you get to the real big game players, that's when customer service is a huge thing too. Like, would you say
Customer
that?
service is the reason you get to the big game players.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's not just the quality of the product, like it's an experience as well. And when you have a customer who is, I'm going to use an example, like we call them difficult customers, to put it politely. When you have a customer who's very difficult, they have to know everything. They want to see it go done correctly, and in their mind what correct looks like, even though they don't understand the process entirely.
It looks different than what you think sometimes.
Perspective, right? Yeah. So, and if we get the inkling that we're going into a potential client and the client is just very difficult, like no matter what we do, we can't please them, and that it's not us, it's just the type of person they are, then we say, hey, you know what? We're probably not going to be able to work together because we feel like we won't be able to satisfy your needs, and we don't want you upset, and we wish you the best of luck. That's a polite way of saying you're in your own way. Right? And you're trying to control too much and you're being too difficult, and you're not going to make the contractor happy. Not that it's not that, happiness is part of the equation, but it really is, because there is a sense of feeling when it comes to providing a service for somebody. And if they're an asshole, quite frankly, no, I'm not going to fucking give you an estimate.
I think that also represents how much of a professional you are, since you are taking accountability.
Correct.
Right? Admitting that you can't
Correct.
facilitate what they need, which is true.
And sometimes I will say, sometimes it could be something that we don't do, right? But most of the time it's because that customer, doesn't matter what you fucking do, they're not going to be happy. And you can't change them. So I'm not going to risk doing a job for somebody, no matter how well we do, and they go and make us look bad because they are just acrimonious in general. So I avoid those customers. But sometimes it takes a little bit to realize who those customers are. I'll go months through a process with somebody, and then when they see the estimate, their true colors come out. And it's unfortunate.
Can you tell me what your ideal customer looks like then? Because we've already talked about
Down to earth, open-minded, grateful, intelligent, but also has a sense of humor, which is kind of both, if you ask me. That's my ideal customer. People who are like closed-minded, one-dimensional, question everything, like they're not my customer. Cheap, they're tire kickers. We do high quality work. Cheap people, they don't hire me. And I'm not going to sacrifice my quality for a job that pays less from a customer who wants more. They pay less, but yet they want more.
Sometimes I'm not ready for these answers.
Thank you. So the thing is like learning how to say no is very important in business. I learned that from Warren Buffett.
Say that again.
Learning how to say no is very important in business. It's probably the most powerful word. If you chase everything, you'll lose everything.
Not everything's a lead.
Not everything is a lead, and not everything's an opportunity. The more experience you get, the more it's recognized. But a lot of people need to educate themselves for that, especially in I don't care if even you're just a painter or drywall guy or whatever, a roofer. Like, you still got to be very careful who you do business with.
I feel like I do that too, because I think my work only is really represented in the best way it can be by star players, pretty much. Really good talkers, really good, intelligent people, more intelligent than me.
That's exactly it, right? Because you like to learn as well. I mean, how old are you? 20 what?
28, dude.
28. You're pretty young, and you have a great vocabulary.
Yeah.
You articulate very well. Like you obviously are an example of being around higher scale people. And I don't mean to sound demoralizing, but let's just be fucking honest. There's lower scale people who don't have a good vocabulary. They don't care. They don't take care of themselves. They're just mad all the time. And I feel bad for them, but it's just, that's the fact of the matter. You don't go hang out with those people. You hang out with higher scale people who you can learn from. And that's how life works, man. You learn something, you pass it on. You learn something, you pass it on. And on the way, it gets better. That's how innovation works. The reason why we have this today, this wasn't here 200 years ago. 200 years ago, they couldn't build something like this. Electricity, these perfectly flat floors, like,
I think there's more opportunity sitting at a whole table full of guys that know more than me being the smartest one in the room.
The only time you should be the smartest one in the room is if you're the one educating somebody. So I like to sit in rooms where I'm the least educated so I can learn. And that's why I go directly to Andy Elliott. He is my personal business coach. Like, I actually have one, I can call him if I wanted to. He's also a friend of mine. But I'm very grateful to have that connection you know, and he doesn't do it just for just anyone, which is also a good feeling.
Yeah.
He's only going to.
Remember my foundation argument? Remember, if you find someone who has a good foundation, you can build something on top of it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to make it from scratch, that's way
Yeah.
harder. He saw that in you.
That's right. No, thank you. That's a good point. And you know, when I tell people that if I'm going into a situation where I'm going to have so much opportunity to learn, so like I could probably learn the one thing, a sentence can be said to me that could change my life dramatically.
Which you've already done 3 times in the one time I met you.
What I've done 3 times.
Literally said 3 sentences that I literally internalized.
Thank you.
Like
Thank
already.
You. Yeah. Well, if you ever want to write it down too, I tell people write it down. If it hits you, write it down.
Oh no, that's post-traumatic stress disorder talking. Like when you say something that's so real, I'm like, man. And then you just realize how many times you've messed up until that point.
I wish I didn't get so drunk last night. By the way, I am hungover. I'm
Which, by the way, everybody, you don't know if this guy's drunk or not. He still makes sense. So I don't think that's something to be ashamed of, but whatever. Continue.
We flew into Vegas, and when I get on a plane, I like to have a couple drinks because it makes the flight easier. And then the problem is I don't drink as much as I used to, right? I've been trying to like keep it on a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Modest.
A disciplinary, modest relationship there with my alcohol. However, the fact of the matter is I was going to Vegas, and so I drank a lot more than I'm used to last night, but I felt good. I was swimming and everything. I actually stopped drinking after dinner. I didn't have any more drinks until like, or none, then you know, as the night went on, 2 hours of teaching Shay how to swim, and then I woke up like, what happened? Man,
Oh,
I'm hurting.
which, by the way, everyone, Shannon, Professor Shannon, as they call him over here, taught a 12-year-old boy to overcome his fear.
Of swimming, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He dives into the water, and this is in one night. He dives into the water and he swims, and it's, you know, the thing is.
Well, he didn't just dive. You had to talk to him for about half an hour.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, but the thing is like when people trust you, when they are inspired by you and they're enticed, then they have no fear. You've disarmed the fear. You've taken the fear away because now their trust in you, they know that they're in good hands. It's kind of like a child when they get scared, they run to mom or dad, and they immediately get right behind mom and dad, right? Because they're feared and they know mom and dad is their protector. In a situation where somebody is scared, they don't necessarily have mom and dad around, but if you can replace that fear with comfort, you be the mom and dad in that moment by communicating with them, by showing them, you connect with them, then that's how you teach them. The same with jiu-jitsu. It's scary walking through those doors. That's the hardest fucking part. And I wish people knew how awesome it was, because they go in this with this open mind, but yet also this unrealistic expectation of what's really going to happen. They go, oh, sometimes people come in and say, man, I thought this was going to be intense and I was going to get like, you know, beat up, and like, no, it's not that. We're not here to hurt you. We're not here to be bullies. You know, we're here to help you. You know, so they have a hard time walking through the door. But when in jiu-jitsu, when women, you know, they get in there and they get going, and then they see other girls and whatever, and even the guys, they go, oh man, this is actually really cool. This is real. This is awesome. But you know, you got to connect with people. So you inspire them, you entice them, and then their fear goes away.
What's the biggest fear a business owner has to overcome?
This is very important to understand as a business owner. You welcome fear. The absolute definition of entrepreneur, I won't say the absolute definition. My definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who's willing to take risks for financial advancement. They want to have their own business. They don't just want to make money by the hour, right? They want to learn how to not only be their own employer, but then realize that actually you're not your own employer, your customer is. They employ you, they pay you, okay? So you have to satisfy the customer. The scariest thing is in business, 9 times out of 10, they fail within the first 5 years, right? That statement holds pretty true. And the reason is because they go in without the preparation, at least some preparation. Or they go in with, okay, they're a great mechanic, they can build stuff, but they don't know how to estimate. They don't know how to build a website. They don't know how to advertise. They don't know how to sell. They can build a house, but they cannot speak to somebody in such a way that the person needs to receive, right? I can go to you and say, hey, I can build your fucking house, sign on the dotted line, pay me the money, let's go. Stop fucking around. Am I lying? No, I'm not lying. However, are you gonna hire me? No, you're not gonna hire me. You're gonna hire the person that can take the fear away from you. Going back to that other conversation, okay?
Okay.
So you take the fear away from the customer, you're walking with them, You're not pushing them. You're not dragging them. You're walking with them. Okay. And the more educated they get by you, the faster they can walk. And then now you're moving. And before you know it, you're doing a job and they're paying you. So the scary part in business is always the same. It's not making enough money or losing your business and realizing, shit, I have to go back to this job I don't want to do. That hurts. 9 out of 10 people that start a business do just that. They have this dream to have their own business, and then they suffer, and then they go back to that job that they wanted to get away from. So you're basically, it's like you're settling, right? You're settling. And unfortunately, most of those people are capable of having and running a business and building a business. They don't believe it. They give up. They don't implement the people that are required to do the things they're not good at. For instance, you're recording me here on this camera.
Yeah.
You edit my reels, you put them up on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know fucking nothing about that. If I had to do that, I would waste my life and I would be miserable and depressed and stressed out. I cannot do that. So I'm going to stay where I'm strong and focus on that and let you take care of the parts that I am not good at. Dude, you should watch a couple of the podcasts I have that I've done. I'm going to be making more, by the way.
I haven't seen all of them.
Yeah, but I did 3. It's a lot, but that's okay. I also had to like set it aside because I had to basically shift focus on, the construction company, not in a bad way, in a great way. However, just a necessity. So I did that. So I put the podcast on hold. I also, was in the process of looking for someone that can help me with that. I had a guy who was helping me, and he's great, don't get me wrong, but he had another baby on the way, 3rd baby. He's in school still. He's trying to run his business and juggles too much. So I basically said, hey, bro, love you, appreciate you, but I'm going to let you get caught up with your stuff, like hit me up later.
So what's the next big thing that you're planning on doing? Because you said you like helping people, right? What do you want to do next?
I'm opening another construction division in San Antonio, Texas. That starts mid-October. So my main focus is that right now, which will help people. It'll help clients have opportunity to have home services done. It'll help employees and subcontractors have opportunity to, make money and run their business, maintain their business. One day, at some point, it's pretty evident, I'm going to be doing a coaching mastermind for business, especially small construction companies. Mm-hmm. When I say small construction companies, I mean like sub 100 million a year. Not like commercial. That's a different animal. And that's mainly new construction. We do remodeling. Remodeling is actually more popular than new construction because you build a house once, you remodel it 15 times. There's more remodeling companies than there are new construction companies, especially right now with the way the interest rates are going kind of crazy. So I'm actually seeing new construction framers and siders and, subcontractors that do, specialty work. They're looking for work because the builders are not building right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I do remodeling, and most people who own a home are not buying a new home. Instead, they're fixing their house or adding on to it. And I prepared for that. I saw it coming. I wish I could go back a year and show documentation, the conversation I had with my CTO. I said, John, I have a feeling some stuff's happening and I know how to get in front of it and I need your help. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And here we are.
So you saw that new infrastructure is not the thing now. It's
as soon as the interest rate hike started, as soon as the politics that got into office that are there now, as soon as that happened, I started preparing because I knew it was coming. When COVID, when that whole shutting everybody down, essential workers only, sending people home and just paying them, I knew it was going to happen. And there's going to be a shift. However, there's still a magnitude of people that do have money and are going to make money. There's people making more, like the north, like Seattle area. More money came into that area in the last 2 years than ever because of COVID. Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Boeing.
The Silicon Valley.
Dude, it's serious. It's like the Silicon Valley of Washington. So, and I live in that area and run business in that area, and my customers live more away from the city of Seattle. They're on the outskirts, like the suburbs, nice houses and stuff. And I targeted that area years ago. That was also a strategy. That wasn't luck. I targeted that city specifically because I knew I'd be more successful there because I saw it had been constructed 30, maybe 40 years ago. Now these houses, they're nice and they're big and they're hitting that age where they need to be remodeled. And it's still kind of expanding. They're still building houses there. However, those houses start at $2 million for an average home. I won't say average, I'll say 3,000 plus square feet, but still start at $2 million. And my average kitchen is around 150 to 200,000. You don't do that in Alabama. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. It just
Yeah.
yeah. And 200,000 in Alabama gets you a house. You know, are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So by the way, this coffee is trash. It tastes like water.